that generation, they're influenced by Instagram and TikTok. Okay, it's a little bit of an open market. Do you know how TikTok is managed in China?
Totally different.
Totally different. Yeah. And if you take research on Chinese students at that age group, they want to be astronauts, scientists, and researchers. US students, North American, Western students, let's say even all throughout Europe too, they want to be influencers and like singers. Like they want this.
It's sad.
What's our society going to look like?
All right, today I sit down with an individual. His name is Pete Tsolis, and he is an expert when it comes to casinos, gaming, and consulting to their C-level individuals. He's also the director of programs at the Hellenic American University here in Athens, and he's responsible for the entire business program, getting top-notch educators and students from around the world to come and study, get their degrees, and experience everything here in Athens, Greece, which is incredible. Enjoy this episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Let's get it started. Oh, and make sure, please subscribe, share, comment. Would really appreciate it. Whatever platform you're watching it on, if you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. If you are listening to it on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or Google Music, please just subscribe, share it, would really help us out. My name is George Stroumboulis, and I'm extremely passionate about traveling the world, meeting new people, and learning about new businesses. Join me as I sit down with other entrepreneurs to learn about their journeys. This episode of Invigorate Your Business starts now. So today we're sitting down with Panayoti Tsolis, right? He's an American citizen. Greek citizen, not Canadian.
Not Canadian.
Okay.
Even though my uncle lives in Canada.
He lives in Canada, so you have that connection.
Yeah. And I have the Anglo name of Pete, just to make it easy for people.
So Pete, yes, that's easier.
Whatever's easiest, yeah.
Okay, let's do that. So your background, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but the one that really resonates and we'll jump into right now is just like the business of gaming, of casinos. You have 20 plus years in the industry.
Just about 20 years. Yeah.
Just about 20. So you started when you were 16, 12, right? So you started in that industry, and where you started, obviously in Las Vegas, from the bottom floor, like literally, and then where you are now, and then transitioning into the higher education space as well. Just talk to us about your background when it comes to, why did you get into the casino space?
It's kind of like why do Greeks get into shipping,
right?
Or why did some people in LA get into the Hollywood type of scene? Or it was the industry,
right?
It was the industry, and I was 16, 17, and there was a friend of my mom's. I was a cashier at a pool, and said they're hiring for a pool attendant to come pick up towels. And then I was working. I wanted to be a coach for high school. And then I saw some marketing guys, and I was like, they look like they're having fun. How do I get a cocktail in the middle of the afternoon?
Right. Wait, so this is at 16?
It's 17, yeah.
So at 17, like blood flowing everywhere, you're thrown into a Las Vegas pool.
Yeah.
Right? Not a bad place to be for a 16-year-old.
Oh, no. It was like, there's a lot of stories that we could talk about.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, those will be the clips that we want.
Yeah. Good thing there were no iPhones back then.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, like I saw this guy, and he was a casino host, and I saw him having cocktails by the pool at the cabanas, and I said, what's this guy doing? Like, he works here. Why can't I do his job? Well, he works in marketing. So then I researched it. I switched over my major to marketing, worked, picked up towels, lifeguard, was supervisor of the pool before I was 21.
What property? What hotel? Mirage, okay.
Which unfortunately, like it's good, Hard Rock bought them out.
Yep.
So the Mirage is going to be a Hard Rock property soon.
Wow.
But it was the first integrated resort. It was Steve Wynn's baby. And like, if you actually look at a lot of gaming professionals' background, a lot of them had some type of touch by the Mirage.
By the way, so we have listeners in over 20 countries around the world. So for someone who's never been to Vegas, describe what it's one of the top 3 properties in Vegas?
I mean, that's perspective, right? Mirage was the first big property that Steve Wynn opened. It was the first one that was kind of away from the mob money. It had a volcano in the front. If you ever see any visuals of Vegas, it's the volcano in the front. And then from there, he opened up Bellagio, Treasure Island, then the Wind. And it really created a lot of the footprint of what an integrated resort is what you see in Macao, what you see opening up soon in Cyprus at the, forgot what it's
The Dream?
Yeah, it's called Dream.
Dream Casino something, yeah.
Mediterranean, Dream, yeah, it's by...
We quoted that from a lighting standpoint. We lost it, so I forbid to myself to visit it.
Okay.
No, but yeah, that's opening up soon, no?
And it's opening up next year.
No, okay.
And then the Hellenic, Hard Rock, who bought the Mirage, is opening up a casino at Hellenic.
Yes, and that's a 3-year-old project?
Construction of a property like that should take about 4 years. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It's not something I'm working on.
Yep.
But they're probably in the development stage of it right now.
Okay.
I did open the COSMO, and that was a different instance because that was originally supposed to be a condominium that during the recession in 2010, 2008, was taken back by Deutsche Bank. And they decided, well, we can't sell these apartments, so let's turn it into a casino.
So wait, take me from picking up towels at the pool, and then you see the marketing person, you get motivated, you change your major, you focus in. Fast forward to 20 years, right? And then we'll go back. Executive consulting when it comes to the marketing of casinos, the gaming industry. How did you make that next step? Because you had no contacts there. There was no uncle, no best friend pulling you in.
Yeah.
How did you climb that ladder in Las Vegas, which is the casino capital of the world, essentially?
Picked up towels 1 year, went inside to serve people at the cafe, went back out to be a lifeguard, went back in to be a bellman. So I used to bring bags up to the room. Went back out to be a supervisor of the pool because, it's a fun job to run a pool. And then went in to go work at a restaurant, fine dining restaurant, as a server. Worked there for 2 years, got my associate's degree around that time. And just as I was getting into my major from a community college to UNLV, I ran into the director of marketing at the hotel, which was a customer, and I just saw him on the way to the parking garage and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about these management development programs, these internship stuff. And he goes, well, if I hire you for the internship, I can't hire, like if you go for the internship, I can't hire you. I was like, well, if you hire me, I don't care about the internship.
So what was that conversation?
It was like one of those conversations. He gives me his business card. I submit an application. I end up coming to Greece for that summer.
Yeah.
And I had a job when I came back.
So you had the balls to know who he is.
Yeah, you see his picture everywhere. In casinos, they don't hide who they are.
Right. So
there's like a shrine of who's boss.
Right. So this guy comes to your restaurant, you capitalize on that.
On the way to the parking garage is when I see him because we park in the same structure, and I go, hey, Mr. Director.
Yeah. That could get you fired in some restaurants, and you just laid it all out. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, I came to him, and this is anything I suggest people, don't ask people for stuff other than information.
Yep.
And all I asked was, there's the MAP program at MGM Resorts. It's a internship program for graduates out of, you're right out of college and you can work in multiple aspects of the casino and then you get a job. So a lot of people, like a lot of presidents went through that program. And I asked him about it. He goes, well, if I hire you for that program, I can't hire you in a real-time job. But I'd already established that I kind of knew what I was talking about. I'm already a student. I'm already working. I work in the same building.
You showed initiative going out there. Like that must have resonated with him.
And then the crisis really hurt because, I came in with a full-time job, was then put on part-time after being let go for like a few months. Vegas is gearing back up. It's 2008, 2009. I ended up becoming a supervisor. And I got my bachelor's degree the same year. This is 2008, 2010. And Cosmo was opening up.
Cosmopolitan. So for the
Vegas.
listener, like hottest, cool, young property, kind of replaced what the Palms and the Hard Rock used to be.
It was that strip Palms property. Party property. I remember we opened with 50 Cent at the nightclub, Marquee. And
you had full access to all that?
I had quite a bit of access to a lot of things, comps and everything. The way that the property was built is, usually a company opens. Mm-hmm. You open a new facility, you'd probably take people from your previous place and you build the infrastructure around them.
Yes.
Right? The Cosmo was taken by Deutsche Bank, and so they put in management, and all those management brought people that they knew, but they were all from different entities. So for an example, Casino came from Mirage, or MGM. Hotel came from Harris, Caesars. Venetian is the people that, the finance came from Venetian. So everybody had different operations as well. So there was a lot of this, what do we do? Well, this is not what I do. This is how I do it where I'm from.
So a lot of headbutting?
So a lot of struggle in the beginning. And I was there for about 3 years. Then I went back to get my MBA at UNLV as well. I was in the executive MBA program. Try to do everything else because I was like, well, I've only known casinos. I want to get out.
Sure.
And then I realized I hated everything else. And so I went back in. I worked for MGM Resorts in corporate, working on a project to consolidate all the marketing efforts because MGM Resorts is a multi-property owner and every casino is in essence its own entity.
Okay.
COO, CFO, there's 3,000 employees. So you're your own business in the portfolio as well. And because MGM grew with a bunch of acquisitions, there was a lot of inefficiencies when it came to the marketing efforts. And so me and my director, who is a great friend now, we worked on proving that a more strategic corporate approach for at least a majority of the population was effective and could actually bring in more revenue. So I did that for a while. And then a consultant that I had at Cosmo called me and said, I'm working for the startup that's actually owned by William Morris, which is Ari Emanuel.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a big fan of Entourage, and I was like, sign me up.
So okay, the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
From a brand standpoint, that was it at the time. I had my bachelor party there 10 years ago. Okay, and it was a great property.
If depending on some friends that we have, I might have helped you book it.
Maybe you helped us book it. We had friends fly in from France. It was just amazing. And 6 months ago, I go back and we stay there and we got upgraded because it's a Marriott property.
Yes. Well, they have a part. It's not a Marriott property. It's MGM Resorts property now.
Okay.
MGM bought it.
But managed?
After they sold. Managed now, MGM just bought it. I had some friends that worked for MGM that just took over certain aspects of the operations at Cosmo.
Okay. So I booked it via Marriott?
Yeah. They have this, it's a data acquisition program.
Okay. And it was just amazing seeing 10 years ago what we did. And we got literally the same suite, everything. For free, they upgraded us. And now, 10 years later, I'm sitting there in dirty diapers. Kids are running. It was just like total contrast from bachelor party to dad life in the same room. And I'm like, oh my God. It was just on another level seeing that.
We were probably the last Vegas property. As in like the last property where it was a little bit more gray.
Okay.
Then as opposed to now the very corporate structure.
I got you.
For an example, like, I ran all the high-end events for concerts. I had all the tickets in my pocket. You would call me and I'd have to look at their play and say, yeah, we can get it. It was a little bit more gray, but we were also without a database. We also didn't have a corporate backing. We had Deutsche Bank that said, make me money. And so we had to come up with very creative aspects of running a business where, let's say you open up a property like they're going to do in Cyprus or in Greece, and they already have the database. They already have some population. Like the one in Cyprus, they had 5 different mini casinos for the last few years while they're building it. That's a data acquisition strategy. Now, when you open up the big resort, you have people to pull from. We don't have
you're saying
any of that.
You didn't have that at that time. There was no database that you're pulling from.
Nothing.
Just marketing and foot traffic. You were relying on that.
And we let Marriott people stay for free.
Get out of here.
So then you're in the system now because it's a soft cost.
Okay.
The hard cost of a hotel room is what it takes in essence for repairs and cleaning.
Okay.
Because it's a tangible asset. At this hotel room we're in now, if it doesn't go book tomorrow, you lost the revenue. You can't put this hotel room on a shelf for tomorrow.
Right.
So in essence, like let's say if it costs 10 euros to clean this room, you could rent it for 20 euros and still make slight profit. Even though let's say it's a couple €100, that's really the hard cost. And so we would also fluctuate with that to just try to get people to come in, try what our inventory is, and then hopefully start building up our database.
So you bring up an interesting point. That's why people that spend money at the casinos, right? Everything's comped, right? Oh, this person spends dinners comped, shows get comped.
Sometimes it depends on their play.
Depending on the play.
I charge people.
So you charge people. What are some crazy stories that you've seen? Because you had access to all the talent that would come in, the players, the high-end gamblers. Like, what are some crazy stories that you've seen where people have just blown everything? Or, like, is there anything that just comes to mind?
I have a couple of good quotes. There's a guy that he was up like 4 or 5 mil
Million.
Mil on us.
Jeez. What game was he playing?
Probably blackjack. I can't remember. And then he just had a swing and he lost. He was down by 2.
Oh my gosh.
So it was, and he wasn't even like a good guest. He was just rude.
He was rude.
Yeah, he was rude. I just remember that stuck with me.
Wow.
We actually mostly cheer for our players because in essence, like I'm incented for you to play longer.
Right.
You're going to play longer if you're winning. So me as your casino host or me as your VIP host, it's in my best interest for you to play longer.
Yes.
Because I get paid off of time, not loss.
Okay.
Because in essence, like if you're paid off a loss, then that's predatory.
I got you.
So I agree to that. And if you think about it, the mathematics of the game is already favored to the casino. So some are going to win, some are going to lose. And so in the holistic view of it, you're kind of rooting your player to hopefully get the upper advantage of the math as opposed to your colleagues' players that are getting the lower end.
But that's at your level. The casino as a whole, I just listened to this yesterday, I think. Dana White got banned from...
Yeah, he was a big player.
He was a big player, and he's apparently very good and always wins.
He wasn't very good. He would play specifically... because he had a big bankroll, he could play in a specific way that like he would edge the math.
Okay. And then the Palms... apparently banned him, whatever the new brand of the Palms is.
Red Rock Resorts.
Is it Red Rock? Okay. They banned him and he pulled all his UFC.
No, it's not Red Rock. It's the company that owns the casino towards LA. It's the big group. It's the native owned.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? They got big signs by Redwood City.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm always bad with names.
Yeah. I was amazed though that they banned him because he was always winning millions of dollars at the time, and he's officially banned from whatever the Palms used to be.
Let's use math. Okay, one way to edge a casino is by doubling your bet on roulette. So if I put 5, I lose. I put 10, I lose. I put 20, I win. So now I got 20, but what did I actually put down? 15.
Yes.
There's ways of doing that at a very high level to where you've edged the casino.
Gotcha.
In essence, the game is managed by the casino, and so you can deny right to anybody. I don't manage the property. I can't speak to what other people do.
Sure.
I don't know him personally. I have just know him that he was a customer at certain places.
Right. Well, so let me ask you that. Talking about winnings and losing. So part of the marketing strategy of a casino, you'll always see the, gamblers addiction hotline or whatever. Hey, if you got a problem, how active, like what would you see? Because people going there, it's not just the glitz and glamour. Like Vegas can be a very dark place, right? People losing. Would you guys have marketing programs in place to support that? Or was it more of just,
Oh, no. I have reprimanded people for breaking people.
Oh, really?
You do not break a player.
So what do you define as break?
Bankrupt them. Literally send them home on a bus. I've seen that before and I was like, this isn't acceptable.
So what do you do to, do you cut someone off when they're so down or what does someone do?
So in essence, so there's multiple levels of the type of player. If you're coming in and you're like the big high roller, like the big players, you usually come in with a credit line. Nobody walks in with a bag of $100,000 or $1 million and then goes to the casino. They get approved the credit line. The way credit lines work is we've assessed your finances and we've established that you're okay to take out this loan. Now that could be a percentage of your income. Mm-hmm. So in essence, it's not going to break you. And we manage that relationship at the high level. Now, when we start going to the lower level, when we really don't know who you are, we just have a relationship with you and you're playing and then you're going up and this and that. We try to manage the relationship.
Sure.
We avoid getting people to that point. And at the end, they become your friends. Like I have players that I still talk to that they have the means. It's their disposable income.
Yep.
Just like how you would go to a club and spend an outrageous amount for a bottle of alcohol that costs $30, you spend $1,000 on it.
Yeah.
What's the difference? In essence, in the casino, you get that bottle for free.
Yes.
Like if you look at the math in the casino, the high-end player actually only pays let's say a 20% service fee in gambling to get all the perks.
To get all the perks. Okay. That's
you know what I mean? Like if you were to
Yeah.
pay for it at cost in the market, it's only 20% more than what you would have just gambling.
Gotcha.
Like gambling, you'd get like the 20%. You just pay an extra 20%.
Yep.
But you could win too.
But you could win. So you have the gambling side. The biggest thing I saw. So I'm not a gambler. I'm the guy you guys hate. I'll come in. I'll spend money at the club.
No, I love you too.
Right?
You should spend money at places.
I'm not a gambler, but I'll go play if everyone's playing craps. I'll go throw down a few hundred, get some drinks for a few hours and that's it. Like other than that, even if I lose a few $100, I get angry that why did I just give it away? I'm not that guy, right?
No, I'm the same way. The joy I have in winning isn't as joyful as the pain of losing.
Say that one again, because
the joy I have in winning. Yeah. Like I won $100. Man, I lost $100.
Yeah,
that losing hurts me more.
Absolutely.
Which that's how my mind works.
Yes.
My thing is, I want more people like you because as a casino player, the value of the land-based offerings is that you're surrounded by people. Would it be more fun? Like, let's say if you had $100,000 and you who's one of your singers you like?
Singers?
Let's just pick a band.
Let's go U2.
U2, okay. Yeah. Let's say for $100,000 you got U2 singing at your house. Is that going to be as much fun as if you had VIP tickets U2 with like 20,000 person arena? So in essence, even though you're not gambling by eating, you're allowing your energy to be involved in the atmosphere of the property. And so you're paying for aspects of the offering. And that's where Vegas casinos and the integrated resort, because you see them all over the place. The tribal casinos have grown exponentially when it comes to what their offerings are. You know, they're one of the biggest casinos in Oklahoma, just outside of Dallas. You know, there's the Choctaw tribe. There's all the tribes in Oklahoma. There's the Seminole tribe that is actually the owners of the Hard Rock.
Okay.
So, you know, if you go to Florida, they have these massive resorts.
Right.
And they're fun. They're in fun destinations. And the point is, as a casino, like we talk, if you go to a conference for casinos, all we do is talk about is like problem gambling. We are self-regulating. We pay all of our taxes because we are given licenses from the government.
Right.
So in essence, we have to contribute to society in that respect. And you don't want to destroy that balance.
Gotcha.
You know, if you become a predatory place, you lose your license. You know, that happened in other jurisdictions outside of the U.S. I want my players to have fun.
Okay, so talk to me about Macao then, because you're talking about fun environments versus not. Not sure if you've ever been there.
No, not personally.
Okay, so I've been there probably 10 years ago, 9 years ago, maybe more. And we were in Hong Kong, bunch of friends, right? Fast forward, I'm there a lot now for work, but we go with all our friends. And we're like, you know what? Let's go. It's casino town. It's going to be fun. They say it's like Vegas. Fine. Take the boat, hour and a half. We get there. The Wynn Tower that's in Vegas, exact replica there. Then they have all these other ones. We're like, oh, cool. We go into the casino. Like you could hear a pin drop because these guys are serious gamblers. The entertainment aspect almost didn't exist.
Which is something that they're looking to bring in.
Yeah, it was boring, and we were planning on staying there a couple nights. Like we literally left the next morning because there was just no action, and we're not gamblers. So we ended up doing bungee. We were trying to fill up something else, but Macau, there was some crazy stat, and someone needs to fact check it, but Macau does more in revenue.
It's like 40 to 9.
Okay, so 40
billion to 9 any year.
Versus the 9 billion here?
In Vegas.
Vegas. Okay,
Vegas,
yeah. It's insane.
Something 9-7, like, you know, the numbers.
Yeah.
There's a very big difference. But if you think about it, like, it's illegal to promote casinos in China.
Okay.
Like, I can't call you and say, come gamble. There's legality purposes. There's Australian groups that lost licenses because of that. And it's the Chinese populace had a very exponential socioeconomic leap in the last 20 or 30 years.
Right.
You know, people were starving 30 years ago when now there's a middle class and there's a lot of privilege that came about by however it got there, right? There could have been partnerships or whatever through the government, you know, there's their economic model. But there's just so many people. There's just so many people that can go to Macau, and then there's also regionally. Japan's not too far, direct flight.
Flying in, absolutely.
And so it's very
There's a new bridge, by the way, now.
Through Hong Kong.
Through Hong Kong, you could drive there where before it was just ferry. It's accessible.
It's very accessible, and it's at a very high level.
Yep.
And yeah, well, but then it could be cultural too. You know, in the US, we have a lot more casual approach where, you know, in China, when it comes to gambling, it's a very formal, very business. And if you think about it, there's like a couple of articles when it just even comes to the Chinese mindset when it comes to like negotiating. You know, like The Art of War is a very influential book in how they see things. And The Art of War is a book that talks about different strategic war tactics.
Yep.
And in essence, like the Chinese mindset is more or less like everything is a small negotiation, everything's a small battle and so on. And they bring that into negotiating too. And so you have that cultural background that goes into even the gaming aspect where they're very superstitious as a community, more so than let's say in the US. You know, our superstition could be like, oh, I'm going to wear the same socks for like 4 innings because I play baseball, you know?
Yeah, and I won't shave and we're good.
Yeah, there's some things, but like they're like, for an example, if somebody's playing and they're Chinese, you don't touch their back because you could take their luck away. There's multiple different cultural norms that you have to respect when it comes to that culture.
And they're serious. So you touched upon it before. So there's land-based and then the online, right? So the revenue. I'm seeing it everywhere on social media now. Everybody's posting like Drake and he's doing this online gambling and they got the virtual. How is that changing the industry? Because it's a big difference, right? You're paying all this money, you're creating these venues and concerts and whatever to get someone to come in and spend. And now you have this online that you're essentially competing with.
Or it could be, so to make it like more relative to the common person's thought, like, yes, online shopping did close down a lot of stores, but people sometimes window shop and then buy online, or they look at what they want online and they go and buy. There's a very complementary type of shift in even retail. Not every store is closed because of online. So it's a historical thing. The US only allowed Vegas, for Nevada first to have gambling, then New Jersey was allowed, and then the tribes were allowed. And now online gaming is being welcomed all over the country by region, by states.
Sure.
And so this is an increase in market. Now, I think for the online, you're open, right? It's open for business. You just grab customers. For the land base, there could be a benefit add. There's a value add because now let's say I don't know how to play craps and I don't want to gamble $20, $100, $40. I can just go online, put 10 cents down and like learn how to play craps in a live, still somewhat
non-intimidating as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've sat at a table and like you double down or you split some cards and the guy next to you is like, you took my card.
100%. Yeah. And like, it just creates this environment where you're like, and
you're like, here's $10 for your bet. Leave me alone.
Exactly. No, and I get intimidated even in the games because I'm not passionate about it, right? I don't care to learn. So I see that aspect of it. So what else are you seeing in the online space? Like, do you see a trend moving more towards online gambling versus physical, or they'll both coexist?
Well, like in the US, online didn't exist. So they're still building properties. You know, casinos are still going to be built.
Right.
As markets come up, because it's a monopoly in a sense. You have the gaming license for a specific region. There is a need. You know, people do it. So you're meeting that market need. If there's not a casino, then you are going to probably go into some sort of black market. And that happened in the online space. People were just going to third-party onlines, and it's not backed by any type of regulation.
Right.
You're putting yourself at risk. And I'm not promoting for everybody to go gamble, but if you are going to do any type of vice, it should be in a safe, regulated place. Just like if you go to a bar, your bartender should know to cut you off after a bit.
Absolutely.
So you don't go and crash into somebody else on your way home.
Absolutely.
And the same thing when it comes, and the good thing about the online space is that because now you have algorithms and people are gambling at such a higher rate, you can start seeing fluctuations within how they play. And then you can start seeing if there's really some problem gambling happening. So let's say you're always playing $10, $10, $10. And after a while, now you're doing exponential growth in how much you're playing. Well, is everything okay?
Right. But do you have that human aspect in online?
Oh, yeah. No, online is the one that holds that type of like customer relationship.
Because of the algorithms, you could see everything.
Europe has been online for a while.
Okay.
The land base is more or less a smaller type of properties. Now integrated resorts are coming to Europe, where online is going to the US.
Gotcha.
But there's a lot of, you can, like MGM Resorts just bought out this company called Leo Vegas, which is from a Northern European country.
Okay.
Finland, one of them. And why? Because I think they're finding out that there's a lot of synergies. You know, they buy the technology from them, they can bring it into the online space here, and maybe that can get them footing to open up a big resort here. In essence, only 20% of Vegas is actually sponsored by gambling. The rest is sponsored by spend.
The spend, okay. So culturally, we talked about Asian culture in Macau. Greece already has a casino. Culturally, because we are Greek, we could say it. Greeks gamble a lot. They like to bet a lot. There's a new massive casino coming down in Hellenic, right? It's a huge property. Everyone's talking about it across Europe. It's going to be great. Do you think that's good for Greece?
Yes.
You do? Okay. You didn't even hesitate. Why?
Well, okay. So here's a couple things. I'm not against the Airbnb world. Greece is changing laws because of the whole Airbnb and taxation and everything. I'm not going to touch onto that too much. And so the aspect, though, of these remote workers, you and I let's say our disposable income is $1,000 a day. Okay. But the water's $1. How much are you going to spend on water? So you're already fixed based off the market. And now you're buying up inventory and you're raising up prices. This is happening in Mexico. So like a lot of like these little cheap places, as they're bringing in these tech workers, are raising up the value for the people that actually live there and make it that attractive place to live. A casino, what it does is, yes, it does bring in other people, but because the value add is the gambling aspect, there's fluctuation on a perception of how much you want to gamble. So the market is determining the price.
I got you.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, I can gamble 10 because that's what I'm willing to pay for that entertainment. You have a lot more money and you're willing to pay over 100,000 euros for that entertainment. In essence, we're getting the same entertainment, but we're actually letting equilibrium decide what's going to be played. So for a society like Greece that can bring in people from the Middle East, unfortunately not Russia anymore, other parts of Europe, North Africa, anywhere where they have a lot of disposable income, these are select people. We're talking about 3,000 rooms. You can get 20 people from an hour, a 5-hour flight from Greece.
Yes.
We're direct flights to even India, I think. There's a lot of people in between to New York. So those people are going to play whatever they want. And gaming tax in Greece is, I think, in the 20s or 30s. So out of every 100 euros spent, 20 or 30% goes straight to the government for taxation purposes. And so that can go to schools, that can go to roads, that can go to pensions, that can go to so many things, to where I bought this water for €1, that's where it stays. And so as a society, now what I don't like is, the multiple aspects of gaming on every corner. I don't want it to be that accessible.
Yes. Which
could be in certain places. But then again, when it's online, you have that too. Like, this is a casino on your phone. So it's a very tricky thing. But if we're just looking at the integrated resort, the very high level gambler, I think is very good, because also they want a tip. So, you're gambling, now you're going to give a little bit to this guy, you're going to give a little bit to that guy. Las Vegas is a city of 2 million people that's ran by casinos. Percentage-wise, when it comes to problem gambling, it's pretty on par with the rest of the country. It might be slightly higher.
Is there a percentage typically in the industry?
It's like 1 or 2% of human population is. I think that's what I'm not a psychologist. But I think I've read on psychology, it's like alcoholism. There's a certain percentage that falls under that.
So I just heard this the other day. They say it's usually broken up into threes, right? So 33% have highly addictive personalities, whether it's alcohol, gambling, whatever it is.
Of the whole population.
Of the whole population, So in Vegas, though, if 100 people come through the casino, it's got to be a higher percentage that...
I was using the city population, not the people that are, because if you're already going to the casino, you already have like a skewed sample size.
That's true.
Like
you are there.
Yeah, it's like saying like 100% of people that like chocolate go to Hershey's, right?
So that could either be 100% problem or not. Okay, I got you. That's a great way of looking at it. Just a segue now. So your background is interesting, right? Like, you grew up in the restaurant industry, similar backgrounds, right?
The Greek style.
You moved to Vegas from California. You start from the bottom. You become a consultant. You're speaking at international shows now. You're being published now about the gaming industry. People are seeking your advice. Incredible, right? And that's going to continue. Right?
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Just stating facts now, right? And Yeah, no, it's incredible. But then also from a higher education standpoint, you've been thrown into this arena, or pushed, offered, yeah, which is a great thing. So now you're working on your PhD, you're bettering yourself. You're still a young guy. You're bettering yourself. You now have an opportunity to bring people to this country to expose the culture while getting a higher education. And you're the director of programs, business programs at the Hellenic American University.
Yes.
Talk to us about that, because that's pretty spectacular.
So like to finish off the part about like my career, after worked for the software company, then I went in for my PhD because I wanted my PhD to help better the consulting aspect that I did through the software company.
Okay.
COVID hit, did my own consulting, which is kind of where I'm at now, and started teaching some college classes because now I already had my MBA, and now I'm a PhD candidate, or a PhD student.
Teaching back in the United States.
In the US.
Yep.
And I applied to a job posting I saw on LinkedIn to teach at a college in Greece. And I was like, well, I'd love to come to Greece.
Sure.
Like, it's every Greek's goal until they get here and they're like, man, why can't I park where I live?
Yeah.
Then you start finding out like there's all these like comforts that we have in the US that do not exist here, but it's okay if you're okay with it.
Yes. Vacationing in Greece, right? We talked about this earlier. You'll meet a girl who goes to Greece in the summer, like, I love Mykonos, this and that. Well, yeah, you can vacation anywhere in the world. You're going to enjoy it, right? So like that's the one aspect. Coming here to live full time, and I've done that in the past, it's a different animal. Like just going to get your driver's license or this, or dealing with the system, it really opens your eyes. And if you still want to be here after experiencing that, then that's the magical moment, right?
And look, there's nothing wrong with the Greek. Well, that's a bad statement. The Greek system is different.
That's a better way of putting it.
Yeah, the Greek system is different. It will happen. You just have to have more patience and kind of understand that everybody works on there's not like standard operating procedures.
Yeah.
So you go to somebody, they might give you the wrong information. Then you got to go, and you just have to be less frustrated and just work through it.
And you got to be tenacious to get the right answer. Because you ask 5 people, you get 6 different answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And whenever people ask me about my experience here, I say, look, based off of my experience, this is what I lived through.
Yeah.
I applied online last year or 2 years ago. They emailed me and they go, would you like to teach an analytics course in sales? Okay, cool. Then as I'm in that, right before I start teaching, they're like, do you want to teach an MBA course in strategy? I go, yeah.
Yep.
And so I'm teaching that course, and I had some really talented students. The kind of students were like, you have this American idea of, well, it's Greece. It's Greece. Okay. This isn't UCLA. This isn't Harvard. Like you start thinking that, but then then I meet all the students that we had, and I go, man, I would have liked to have been in class with these. Like they're for their market, they're very, very skilled individuals.
And I can attest to that after that.
It was a bias that I probably had coming from the U.S.
Sure.
From also our parents came to the U.S. or Canada from Greece. They already were below the socioeconomic, like they were below the poverty line here anyways. And so our families weren't rich when we come back to see our families too. So there's a whole lot of perspective that was not right. And I met these students. I was like, these are great. And then I was asked to teach an undergraduate course. Again, I came out here to do my dissertation because my dissertation through Pepperdine University in LA is on sustainable tourism model framework for Greece.
Okay.
So what does that mean? I want to interview the national government and regional governments to see where the gaps are, to identify any holes within the strategy. So that way, as we build a more sustainable tourism environment here, we can take those into consideration. So this is where I'm at right now in my research. Hopefully by the end of the year, next year, I'll be done.
And that will be for your PhD.
It'll be for my PhD. And then the school here was like, well, you're here. Do you want to be the director?
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
right?
it's huge. Big honor.
And great reputation. Even my managing director for my office here, when I mentioned it, he's like, I'm very familiar with that institution, and you guys are doing some special stuff. And what you're doing, so my nephew, little side tangent, he's 19.
Yeah.
Second year university in Canada. And I talk all the time with him, and I'm just excited because he's studying business. He wants to get into marketing. Fine. And, this generation now, they're very big on the Gary Vaynerchuk of fuck school, just start it.
Be an influencer.
Be an influencer.
Everybody's going to pay me to drink soda.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out
There's
of here,
a lot of that. And again, I'm not saying my nephew's doing this, but they're like, well, where he's not wrong is my professor is just a student his whole life or her life. And they've never had real life experience. And that resonates because, yeah, the same with me. You're going to teach me on strategy when you've never worked in this environment or have proven yourself. What you're doing here is you're bringing real business people, corporations from around the world to support this, to speak, to kind of prop this up and give access to these students to see real life examples, maybe intern with them, set it up, which again sounds like it should be standard around the world, but it's really not.
So a couple things, like, because you had a couple points that I wanted to touch on. That generation, they're influenced by Instagram and TikTok. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a little bit of an open market. Do you know how TikTok is managed in China?
Totally different.
Totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take research on Chinese students at that age group, they want to be astronauts, scientists, and researchers. U.S. students, North America, Western students, let's say even all throughout Europe too, they want to be influencers and like singers. Like they want this value add type of career, which is very unobtainable. And it's an interesting, what's our society going to look like?
Absolutely. And to that point, even this morning we were interviewing. So I landed last night, got to the hotel at 1 a.m. This morning we're interviewing for marketing and related positions for the office here in Athens. And again, no disrespect to some of the applicants, but it's for marketing strategy, high level. And some of these backgrounds are, I'm a social media expert and I manage the Instagram for this account. And you get a lot of that and people think that's marketing and marketing strategy. That is a fraction of the whole umbrella of just posting.
Worst marketing strategy.
It's the worst marketing. Now, if that's to complement your social strategy, which is under the communication strategy, which is under the marketing, fine, needed, great. And
depending on the company too.
Absolutely. But it blew my mind. And I'm like, okay, but like we need strategy first, the execution. So a lot of people think by just posting, getting it out there, I'm in marketing, I'm an expert. So it's just kind of blew my mind where it's like, no, you're not. There is a need for this, but that's not what we're trying to do. So what are you bringing to this program with an American mindset, right? It's even in the name.
Yeah.
For these students.
Well, I'm only 36, but I've been working for 20 years now. And, even picking up towels you guess relations, there's customer service, there's a lot, even the first job was a real job. So there's a couple things. The first thing is I'm trying to reposition our offering so that way it's much more recent business focus as opposed to the theoretical aspect that is in most universities and institutions. And we already have the framework. A lot of our instructors are C-level executives in Greece. They're managing their own companies, they're owners of their own companies. And our students are getting a lot of that right now.
Yeah.
From these real life people. Like they approach me because of my business background.
Right.
And so I'd like to take that and keep promoting that and keep finding people to fill in those slots if I ever have an adjunct position gone. But then like what I'm doing is I'm trying to I'm creating a coalition of business people to give me advice. I'm getting the advice of my instructors.
Yep.
What does the market want? Because in essence, that is, if education is going to be an aspect of the market, and if we're going to think of capitalistic ideology, well then the market should decide what education also, or at least influence it in some way.
Absolutely.
And so I'm taking that approach. All my lessons are in the evening. I tell every student that talks to me, go get a job. I have one student that wants to be in retail. I go, okay, fine, go fix socks at your department store. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, well, look, I moved up to being a consultant in the gaming space because I picked up towels at a casino. Even if you pick up trash, start somewhere.
Yeah.
Your CV will be a lot better than the kid that just has the academic experience. And you're already in-house. So I always tell students, find your industry, find what you love. What do you like? You're not going to be in love with your job. Yep. Nobody loves their job. Very few people forget everything else in life. I just want to work. But it's an aspect of your life and might as well find the most value in that. And so a lot of our classes are in the evenings, and as a Greek American, and living here, and I've been here now for 7 months. I went to the Army here 5 months ago. We can even talk about that if you want. That was fun.
Oh man, I'm too old now to go. I think I still have a few years.
44, 45 is the cutoff.
Okay, I'm 41. So
yeah, you got 2 more.
Yeah,
2 or 3 years.
I just can't stay longer than 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
That's what I was until I was asked to stay.
Oh man.
But as living here, even if you're here for 3 months and you rent like an Airbnb in Athens or in the city, you start understanding more of how society functions. More so than just going to your village, your Igas, Chorio, or whatever it may be, or going to Mykonos for the... Mykonos is not a Greek island. Mykonos is an Arabic/Russian/oligarch island that we can pay to go hang out on.
Exactly.
It's not Greek in the sense of like Greece as in the traditional aspects of it. So if you really want to understand what society is here as a Greek of diaspora, which our diaspora is almost as much as our population in the country, come live here, come study.
Absolutely.
We're accredited by, NECI, which is the New England System of Higher Education, the same accreditation that is given to Yale and Harvard. We had our accreditation meeting and I was talking with a representative from Harvard just a month ago.
Okay.
And so we are accredited. Come here, take a semester. Come here, study. Actually, like mathematically speaking, if you're not going to like the top 20, 30%, or even the top school in your region, and you're going to like a secondary school, let's say like a Cal State school, could be like what, 20, 30 a semester? Well, for 20, 30 semester, you've gotten your full degree from me and you probably paid for half of your apartment.
So you're saying 20, 30 grand.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, listeners from around the world to study, first of all, I come from Canada. When I studied at a decent university, I think every year with living, whatever, it was no more than 10 grand, right?
Okay.
Like no more. It was maybe 7 grand here in Greece, right? Same thing. It's compensated by the government.
Yeah, it is compensated by the government, but because you are placed based off your exams,
right?
If you get placed in a place you don't want to go, you have to pay for rent. Like there's regional schools in places, so you have to pay for the rent there.
Right, but from an education. So then you go to the States, and this is where it's crazy. I studied in France. I did a year abroad in France, okay? Studied there. The Americans sitting with me then, we're talking almost 20 years ago, exactly 20 years ago, they were paying 50 grand semester for school, like just insane amount of money. So they're graduating now with like 200-300 grand either in debt or the parents paid for or whatever. Right? It's incredible. That's a whole other segment and podcast to discuss. But you're saying you could come here, and especially if you're a Greek parent and you're losing that connection to Greece, send your kid here for a semester. Living here is different. Get educated, like top tier school here, right? Like great reputation. What's your pitch when you're talking and trying to attract talent? Like, what are you telling them?
Well, first, when, in any pitch, you have to understand what they want. And then you see what you have to offer, what they want. So if you're, of Greek diaspora or just someone who loves Greece and really wants to embed yourself in society, you get your student visa and you come out here and you study. You can do a whole 4 years. You can do your master's with us, or you can just do a semester abroad. You're interacting we have students from all over the world because, we're European, and so you're getting that value add. Now, let's say if you want to save money. If you're going to a state school in California, you're probably going to pay less by coming here and renting an apartment in Athens. You're living in downtown Athens, where my school is 15 minutes away from the Acropolis by foot.
So what's living expenses like for a student who's coming here? Like what could someone expect? So tuition.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. A year on average to...
I think and I can't get quoted, and I probably will get fired for not knowing this.
It's less than $8,000 a year or whatever.
Far less. Far less than $8,000 a year.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and living expense, an apartment in Athens, even though rents have gone up just like they have all over the world, you could probably find like a basement apartment for like $300 a month.
Yeah. Yep. And if you want to go a little higher, $500 a month,
depending on the neighborhood. And look, in Greece, there might be quote unquote bad neighborhoods like every major city, but it's not violent crimes. You're not going to get a drive-by and there's
a lot of petty, and
there's probably but really good neighborhoods could be $500 a month. Like we're talking about €100 change, and you've moved from like Inglewood, for like a very blue collar neighborhood in the LA area, to Beverly Hills,
right,
by like a $200 change.
That's several thousand.
We're in Greece, that's 20% of income. Like the average income here is $600-700. So you're in that market,
right?
But you're also introduced to the EU. You're introduced to a lot of different aspects. So when it comes to the students that could come here, as a Greek American, as someone who was born in our perception of what it is to be Greek, which isn't wrong. Like, we have much more traditional values than even people in Greece do when it comes to folk dance or specific cultural aspects that like an urban person wouldn't have. But there's also a lot of things that modern day Greeks do and have in perceptions of life and that are great too. And so for somebody that is of Greek descent, come live here for a few months.
Absolutely. You said international students. A lot of European students are coming down here?
We do have some. We do have, depending on how they get here, we do have a pretty good Southeast Asian community that studies with us. African community as well. Now, I don't know exactly how and when they all got here. Like, some could be ones that have been born in Greece. Some could be ones that have come through diplomats. It's a very diverse campus. Yeah.
So I would love to set up something where, we're tapping into talent for our office locally, right? To support what we're doing. Yeah. I think that would be great for that program, and then just attracting it to other countries as well.
Yeah, like one of the things that I'm trying to work towards is just getting to know more. I don't have a network in Greece that well. I'm not from here.
Yep.
Like, I'm from here, but I'm not, right?
Yep.
And so as I start meeting business people, as I start getting to know what the market wants, then I can start working on what my programs are to offer to them. As in, like, if an industry needs some type of soft skill, let's focus on that. Let's expose students to guest speakers. Let's expose students to what industries are out there. Life is full of exposure. Why did I pick casinos? Because I lived in Vegas.
Yep.
Why didn't I go in a different route? I probably could have gone to like, another school in another market and had a completely different life just by exposure. I didn't know any of that. My dad cooked at a restaurant. My mom cleaned hotel rooms.
Yep.
That was the only option for me. And this isn't that expensive even for Greek standards. Like, for a Greek that pays a lot of money that goes into the private tutelage to be able to pass entry exams.
Yes.
You could probably pay for a lot of our education just out of that.
Yeah.
So we're very obtainable for middle-class Greeks. And to that point, do they even have the influence of what markets are out there? Like, you're in lighting. Never would have thought of that.
Right.
Never would have thought of that as an option. Never would have thought of...
You better now.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's lighting, it's widgets, it's whatever it is. It's still trying to connect on a human level with someone to try to sell them something that they either know they need or they don't know they need, and just make sure you service the heck out of them.
Yeah.
We're in the business of customer and client satisfaction, right?
And that's universal.
And that's universal in anything, right down to the burger we're serving, right up to the lighting, to the education. So your school, you guys bring in top tier educators, right? From the local market, C-level managers, people who have business experience. Mm-hmm. So the whole Gary Vaynerchuk drop out of school, F school, like we're changing that with this university, right? You're bringing students from around the world. You're working on attracting more talent, and the price points are incredible. Like, the experience, and again, we'll say it because we're in Greece, but going to study abroad anywhere in the world is a good thing. Go open your eyes for 3 months, 4 months. Even if you go to a Sweden or Africa or whatever it is, like, go open and take advantage of that situation. You'll learn. You'll come home. You'll learn something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you'll make contacts.
Absolutely.
There were students that were internationally at UNLV, and, I talk to them still. One's in Sri Lanka. On LinkedIn, how's it going? We don't really have a relationship other than maybe a couple Instagram, how are you doing? Is everything okay?
Totally.
But maybe I go to Sri Lanka one day and we can have coffee. You know what I mean?
And you have that there. Exactly. Yeah. What else? We're going to share all the links to your social media, to your LinkedIn. Make sure if people want to get in contact.
Yeah, of course.
Is there anything else that we should cover? Any plugs, anything you want to...
If anybody wants to sponsor students to come here and study, or even students that can afford in Greece to come study, because it's a private school, it's not like the government subsidizing it, we do have a U.S. entity, and it could be tax write-offs from there. If that's what your incentive is,
yep.
Or if your incentive is to help provide the future with opportunities, then I'd love to get one-to-one. You can sponsor a student. Well, I can find you a student in Greece that could use an education too.
Amazing. And let's really get the numbers out there with can I anchor it with a number? With like 5,000?
Yeah, it depends on what you want to study. You want to sponsor for a semester, it could be under a couple grand. If you want to sponsor for the whole thing, it could be under 10 grand, 12 grand for the whole degree. There's multiple different points.
Yep.
I'm not in the admissions. I'm so focused on like my incentive of building up the program. But I can always get people in contact with that aspect of the institution.
Amazing.
And I've only been there for 4 months as full-time, so like you could see why there might be some gaps in my knowledge.
It doesn't matter, but your drive and your goal and your vision is rock solid, right? And that's where you're trying to push.
And it's well received by the faculty.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tell the professors, this is what I want. This is what I want at this place. They're like, great, thank you.
Good.
I tell the students, I had a student the other day, I was like, it's a marketing research class and they're finishing up their projects. We're in finals in a few weeks. And I go, look, I've already taught you everything. I want you to come here and I want you to complain to me for about an hour. I'm the director of the program. I'm going to do marketing research. All of you tell me what you wish you would have studied while you're here or what you can study while you're here. Just tell me. And now I have a little a focus group of students. I have great relationship with them. I love them. They love me. I can feel that there's a lot of like love in the institution from all aspects. And the student goes, about time somebody cares.
See?
Yeah, and I feel that that's something that I probably would have said in school too. You know, I mean, it's not that they don't care. It's just that you just have to tell them that you do.
Well, if you give a Greek an opportunity to complain, they're happy to.
Or if you don't, my first.
Or if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't, they still will.
They still will. It's ingrained in the DNA.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man. I appreciate you sitting down with us. I thought this was great. I think people definitely resonate with some of this information. So appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it too.
Thank you, my man.
Anytime you want to ever chat, I'm always here.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Please hit the subscribe and like buttons and follow me on all the main podcast streaming channels. Also, please share your comments when you can. I appreciate your help in expanding this network to a worldwide audience. Until next time, stay invigorated.